I'm so inspired by my guest this week. She was born in Burundi to a family who had to flee from Rwanda, and now she works tirelessly to help refugees herself.
For me, every time I meet them, I tell them, don't lose hope. You are not going to be refugee forever. One day you will go home and you can use that skills you have learned here. So any opportunity you have, learn it.
Juliette Murekeyisoni is UNHCR's deputy representative in South Sudan. She told me her incredible story. From the United Nations, I'm Melissa Fleming. Welcome to Awake at Night. Juliette, it's great to see you again. I'm here in New York. Where are you today?
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm in Juba, South Sudan. We spent today with the refugees in Gorom. Gorom is a small refugee camp, 45 minutes away from Juba. And this camp hosts Sudanese, Congolese, Burundian, Rwandan, Ethiopian. When this camp started, we started 2010 with 2,000 people. Today, with Sudan crisis, we have almost 13,000.
It is a sign and a symbol of conflicts and wars in the region. Maybe you can describe South Sudan and the means that it has to host so many refugees, and maybe the role of UNHCR in trying to help South Sudan cope with these kinds of numbers.
As you know, South Sudan, it's a new country. Just 11 years of independence. And of course, it's a country also coming from a war. They have a lot of challenges. But despite all that, they open borders to welcome other refugees in the country. Of course, we open a camp. We have about 4 camps in South Sudan. So what we do really is to support them with the shelter, with the basic needs, really, if I may say.
You mentioned that swelling numbers of people are fleeing the horrific war in Sudan and seeking refuge in South Sudan. What is it like? Can you just paint a picture of these camps that are hosting so many Sudanese refugees?
In the beginning, when everybody came, it was just like an influx. And of course, for refugees, we transport them to Maban, where we had a camp, which have been there for almost 15 years. But again, refugees, most of them, they didn't want to go to Maban, maybe for many reasons. So the refugees who are coming, they are those ones who came from Khartoum, who used to internet communication. But when you go to Maban, there's no such a kind of communication, so they didn't want to go there. So the camp is with shelters, some plastic shades. So I would not say it's like, where you can call home.
It's a temporary setup. I remember being there. I think it's quite barren, right?
Yes, again, it's even in a remote place. For example, with also this climate change, when it rains, for example, in August and July, August, sometimes we cannot even go there. It's like roads are cut. So it's really, really in the remote, and not much things are there.
It's not easy to be a refugee or a displaced person in South Sudan. I mean, South Sudan has its own problems, and some of its own population are actually displaced because of ongoing violence. How many people are internally displaced in South Sudan?
So we say there's about 2 million, if I'm correct, there's about 2 million IDP, displaced person in South Sudan, and most are displaced because of violence or because of flooding, climate change, so all that.
It makes, I believe, everything so much more challenging for UNHCR to respond to these kinds of situations. The funding isn't getting any bigger.
In Gorom today, I can tell you when I was there, really I felt very, very, very sad. They are telling you the food is cut by next month. Maybe we're not going to have food. So you just sit there. I was just looking a lot of children and a lot of women, and I'm just thinking how these people really will live, and until when this will stop. I have been here for 3.5 years. Before this war of Sudan, the direction was a really good direction where we think about solution, where we have established a project called the Pocket of Hope, where we supported people who are returning back to their home of origin, help them to help themselves. Not this, we are feeding you every day. No, giving you tools, even themselves, they're asking you, give us a tool to farm. So we establish a lot of cooperatives, farmers, they go together, host community, and the returnees, government give us the land where the people, the refugees can farm. So it was beautiful, really, until then this war came.
What would you say to the people who are forging this war in Sudan right now, having seen so many of the victims?
I wish I can see them face to face. I will ask them question if their children, would they see their children in the camp there, sitting with no food, with nothing, crying for education? What is the future of the country? What the future of tomorrow if you are not giving education to the children? Those children who are in the camp, what their future tomorrow? And I really, to be honest with you, Melissa, I wish I can see them together. I don't know what I will do with them, but I will tell them, and what I will tell them, they will never forget. And I think, today for me, it was sad. And I have to go there to give a speech talking about, have a hope, don't lose hope. It's true, I believe we should not lose hope. But you cannot keep the hope when you don't have food. You cannot keep hope when you cannot go to school. You can, yes, we keep hope, but it's very sad.
It is very sad. I noticed you focused on the kids if you were to be able to make an appeal to the two sides at war in Sudan, when you visited that Sudanese refugee camp today. What were those kids delivering to you as a message?
The children has a display. They had a drama where they have the children from Congo, from Sudan, from Ethiopia, from Burundi, from Rwanda. They're all there. So they say we want the world where we have peace, right? We want to go to school. So for them, for the kids, what they're asking is for education. And you see their mothers sitting there with the children looking. And you can, when you are a mother, you can even see the tears in the eyes of the mother, even though they don't come out, but you can see it. But of course, for me, every time I meet them, I tell them, don't lose hope. We have this organization who are building your skills. Take it seriously, because you will never be, you are not going to be a refugee forever. One day you will go home and you can use that skills you have learned here. So any opportunity you have, learn it. And I tell them, we are very lucky, and you are lucky because the host community are welcoming you, are giving you land, are sharing with you what they have. So that is the beauty, because there are other places where they don't even want to see you as a refugee.
There are horrible reports of sexual violence against women in Sudan. What have you heard from some of the women that you have met who have fled those horrors?
Melissa, I work in many countries, but in South Sudan, the women, they are not afraid to tell you that I have been raped 10 times, 5 times. Yeah, they are not afraid to tell you. They tell you, and they tell you in detail. There's one woman that we met, and she was telling us how on her way from Sudan to South Sudan, she was kept for almost 3-4 days with her daughter, and They will rape her, to rape her daughter by many men, not only one. Yeah, and she's not only one. And imagine it, you are a mother, man. You have a daughter there, and they do this in front of you, and the daughter and you at the same time. Yeah, how do you think this mother will ever heal? Never. Or the child.
And yet they want to talk to you about this experience.
They are sharing with someone who is listening, if there's anything we can do, we do. But at least that talking, I think, it makes them heal.
How do you cope yourself when you hear about all of this suffering?
When I start working with UNHCR, actually not afterwards, first I started in Rwanda in 1995, left. Then I went to Western Sahara, and from there, then I went to Yemen. In Yemen, that's where I work a lot on the sexual gender-based violence. And for the 3 years I worked there, after I told my husband I would not work on this matter again. And it was the first time that I saw boys being raped from five years to 10, 11. And of course, it was a shame for their mother, and then they kind of neglect those children, and some of them will be taken to juvenile jail. And I work a lot. At that time, Marissa, I was in Yemen with my husband and my son, and my son was 2 years. And then I told my husband, I said, please, go back. I will remain alone here. Because I go to work, he goes to work. We leave my son with the helper in the house. What happened if that helper goes somewhere? What's going to happen to my son? I told Juanfo, I said, please, go back, I will remain here. So I work a lot on the sexual gender-based violence for men, women, children. But what hurt me so much is those boys. It was not one or two or three or four or five. There were many. So at that time I said, I'm not going to work on this matter again. But then, of course, in our way of our work, we face this all the time. And you cannot ignore it. So I got used to it. But sometimes, especially for the boys, it comes back to me. But yeah.
Just about the boys, what was it in particular that affected you so much?
One was 5 years old, 6 years old. It's a very naive boy. It's very innocent. And then so that to happen to him. And when you run to your mother and your mother rejects you. And that's what I think affected me a lot. And I work closely also with the mothers. I will have some kind of focus group discussion with the mother to tell them really it should not be this way. Instead of rejecting your son, you should actually support the son. It's not him. And I have, at the time I told you I have a boy of 2 years old. I'm like, if they are naive, how can you reject them? So those things affected me a lot. There's many nights I didn't sleep. And at the time there also, because security was not bad, I could spend with the family until 10 o'clock in the night or 11 o'clock in the night and come back home. So, I was not expecting that. That's the first time I come across to that.
It's absolutely horrific. I mean, I'm just wondering if all of this affects you more because you were a refugee yourself. In 1959, your parents fled Rwanda to Burundi, which is where you were born. What was your life like as a child before you had to flee?
Of course, we were living in Burundi as a refugee. That time we could go to school. You know, Melissa, if you see those days and you compare it today, there's a big, big, big change. That time you have a scholarship. That time there was a funding to support the refugees. And so I remember going to school, but of course you are refugees, you are called a refugee, you have a refugee card. And in the school, everybody knows that you are a refugee. But always, especially when we do national exam, where for refugees, they have to have at least 70% or 80%, while the Burundian will have to get like 45%. So those kind of things, calling, names, knowing that you have a refugee card, knowing that you are not in your home. So those are the things I grew up, maybe we were five in my family, and I'm second child. And I'm a bit different than my brothers and my sister. I was always knowing that I will not die as a refugee. I knew I would go home. Any opportunity I would get, I would go home.
And you didn't really even remember what home was like. Even so, it had such a draw to you.
Yes, I knew that I'm Rwandan, but I never been in Rwanda. I don't know how Rwanda look like, nothing. But I always know that I want to be home. I want to be home. I want to be home.
Can you describe what your living situation was like in Burundi?
We were poor. You can imagine we were poor. And my father was working at the hospital, and my mama was a teacher, living in the mud house. You were lucky if you live in the mud house with the grass roof. Yeah. So it was tough until so when I was in a primary school in the sixth grade, I think, a couple for Switzerland, they came to Burundi, and then they were living a little bit like 10 minutes away from us. So I went to fetch water, and when I went to fetch water, I met with Helen and Marcus. They come from Switzerland in Arneg, and so they were there as a teacher. And then they asked me, you want to come and get water in our house? Because their house is a very beautiful house. They have water in their house. So she told me, come and get water in our house. And at the time, of course, I got the water, and I was so shocked. How come they asked me to get water, and then they invite me in the house? They give me a juice. I'm like, okay. And then, so we start becoming a friend. And then they invite me and my mom and my brothers to go to eat, to have a dinner with them. So they cook spaghetti. I think the first time I ate spaghetti and meatball. Then we ate, and then we were like happy, and I said, you know what? I also want to invite them in our house. I'm like, what am I going to cook? I say, I'm going to cook the small fish, and I'm going to make fufu. Then we invite them, we cook, we are eating. When we eat, it starts raining. Melissa, whole house was full of water. And then, so they were okay. They say, oh, Juliette, you want to come and sleep in our house? I said, no. We are staying here. It's okay. Next morning, they told me they would like to help me, to help my family. And then they called me. I went to their house. They give me money. That time was they say you go and you buy the roof, and then we can put on the house. So I came. I remember I put the money here in my clothes here. I came running, and I went to my mom. Mom, I want to go to buy the roof. I said, where did you get the money? Did you see that money? I said, me? You see me? I can see the money? I said, no, I'm going to buy the roof. This is Marcus and Helen. They give me this money, so we are going to buy the roof. Immediately, there was another couple, Swiss also, a friend of Marcus. They had a car. So I asked them if they can help me to go buy the roof. I give my mom money. You go find the people to get the wood, and then me, I'm going to get the roof. Within 1 month, we have a house, a shelter, a proper shelter.
I could tell that you're very moved by this act of this Swiss couple. Are you still in touch with them?
Oh, yes, I'm in touch with them. They also supported me to go to high school. They pay for my education. And they had a baby, and the baby they called Juliette.
Where is Juliette?
They live in Zurich. Now Juliette has also a baby. So we are family.
That is lovely. When you had just graduated from high school in Burundi, the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda began. Do you remember when you first heard about it, and what did you feel?
I mentioned in the beginning, I was looking at any opportunity I can get to go home. We were at the time we were in Bujumbura, and there were a lot of people who are fleeing Rwanda coming to Burundi. You found women with the cut everywhere, with the machete everywhere. I'm like, I don't belong here. And at the time, some people were going to Rwanda to help those people who are wounded in the beginning. So after the genocide started on the 7th, around 14 days later, I left. I got an opportunity, and then I said to the people who are leaving, going to Rwanda to help, I said, I am also going.
Weren't you scared?
I don't get scared that easily. My mind was just, I want to go and help. And I always say, I'd rather die there than dying here. Meaning I want to go to my country. Despite all what was happening, I want to enter. We were in 1 o'clock, I put my bag, so I would sleep together with my sister on the same bed. So I left the door open. I went slowly. No one heard me. I entered into that truck. We were about 20, and I think we were 2 ladies. That's how I went to Rwanda. So we went to the border, and then so the truck left us there, and then we would walk. Many people were coming there, wounded people at the hospital, or that there was 2 nuns who were there at the hospital helping people at the hospital. So I remember when I came, I remember the scene of dead people everywhere. Anyway, so with that nuns, with the other team, we were always going in the woods, in the bush, to see if we find the people still alive. And then I remember we found the 2 children who were still alive, but wounded, and the mother was killed, the father was killed, and the other 3 siblings was killed. Those kids was about maybe 1 year, 1 year and a half or 2. So we took them, and at that time there was a place where we put all the kids who are with no parents. Those nuns were the ones supporting them. So in short, it was a scene that I would never imagine, and I could not imagine someone can just take a machete and cut the neck, or for the pregnant woman cut and take the baby out. I was numbed. When I see all those things, I was numbed. No, this is not possible. This is not possible. I don't want to think about it. Let's just continue. Let's just continue to support those whom we can support.
Were you not in danger working in that area?
In that area, I was not. You never know. You never know, because some people were still hiding, and some people who killed were still hiding. You could even been killed. But at that time, Melissa, when you see thousand dead people, you go to the church. You know me, I'm very Christian, I'm very Catholic. When I enter in the church in Nyamata and I see what I saw, there's no time to be scared.
What did you see?
What did I saw? I saw dead people in the church. Dead, thousand dead people in the church. I'm like, these people, they came to ask for refuge, and they died in the church. You know, we feel like no one could come to church to kill me, you know? because really we saw the church as a holy place. Nobody can enter to kill anyone. But when I enter, I saw all dead people there. It took me time to go to church, by the way. So I just say, look, I can pray anywhere I am. It's not necessary I have to go to church.
You were working there as a volunteer and doing what you could, and I understand that this is when UNHCR first discovered you, and you met an American nurse who helped change your life. Tell me what happened.
Margaret Wikraski, she was a nurse working with the IRC. And then we become friends. At the time, actually, my English was not so good, and she wanted to speak English. So we discuss, we communicate by hand, we communicate looking in dictionary. We became really like a sister. And then in 1995, when we have massive people coming, so I was I was driving a motorbike. I was enjoying, I was the only woman driving motorbike. And I was driving motorbike with my sneakers. I left and Margaret was in the car. I didn't even see her. I just saw many people coming. And I saw a woman who had a basket on the head, baby on the back, and the two babies on the walking. They have been walking. This woman could not walk anymore. And I say, wow. I stop my motorbike. I take my sneakers and the socks I put on her. So I give my shoes and then my socks. I took my motorbike, I left. So Margaret saw me. And then in the evening, Margaret asked me, Juliette, do you want to go to America? I look at her. I can only go to America if I go to school, but not to go to wash dishes. She looked at me, she laughed. And she said, no, Juliette, I don't, for me, I'm a nurse, I don't have so much money, but I will find how we can get you to United States. I said, I told you, if I can go to school to do my undergrad, to do my master, I will go running. But if I'm going to do the job, washing dishes, I'm not going. Then she contacted a family in Connecticut, Tea Gardens. They are my family, they are my everything. Immediately, that time there was not so much email, actually. I still have this piece of paper. The email was a kind of telegram or something like that. And then Margaret wrote to them, there's this woman, she's young, she have a future, but I'm not able to support. What can we do? Tea Garden and Celine, they said, we want Juliette today. That is our Christmas gift. Margaret went to the U.S. Embassy. And that time, the ambassador was a woman. I wish I can know where she is today. And then Margaret went and told her, Juliette, it's a bright woman, young lady, we want to have education, And he said, I will give you 6 months of visa. When you get to United States, you apply for I-20 student visa. Melissa, I was shaking. I keep my passport with my visa. I didn't tell anybody, nobody. I was going to leave like tomorrow. I went and tell my mom. And then see how God does things, eh? Margaret also, they didn't renew her visa, so she had to leave. And so we had to go together. And I was like, whoa, how God is great. How can I go alone in the place I don't know? You see, I told Margaret, you see, it's good you didn't get a visa renewed, so we can go together. And then, so I get my visa, I tell my mom the evening. I say, you know, Mom, I'm going to America tomorrow. I say, you are crazy, Juliette. You are crazy. Where to America? I said, I'm going to America tomorrow. So they think it's a joke. I said, okay, you will see. I went to the airport with Margaret. We entered the plane through UK to New York City. That's how Juliette went, and Tea Garden welcomed me with open arms in Connecticut, Brookfield. It was the first time I see such a kind of place. It was the first time I see one big house here, another one there. I'm like, hey, these people, how come you don't have a neighbor? It was, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to express myself. And with the special, with the little English I had, and my family, they speak English only. Serene, the mother spoke a bit French, but not really good. So yeah, that's how I arrived to that house. They show me my room, they show my bed. I was like, wow. I said to myself, I couldn't sleep all night. I said, I'm coming here. I am going to study night and day.
And you ended up going to college and getting a master's degree.
And so thanks to Tea Garden again, they helped me. I went to school. They paid for my education for 1 year. I get a scholarship, and I was working at the school. And the money I was working at school, I even built a house for my mother in Rwanda. I met other Rwandan, and our heart was always in Rwanda. And we established a non-profit organization called Inyana. Inyana is a small cow, baby cow. And this Inyana was to support the orphanage in Rwanda.
What made you then, with that comfortable life in the U.S., return to UNHCR and then to difficult duty stations in the field?
Indeed, I was so comfortable. Because when I finished, I was living at the school, at my family in Connecticut. Good life, what can I say? And I did my master's degree, good life, what can I say? But I always say I will go back to UNHCR. I will go back to work for refugees. I will go back to work for displaced people.
You moved to many difficult places. You mentioned your time in Yemen, working for UNHCR, your time now in South Sudan, your time working on sexual and gender-based violence. These days, what is keeping you awake at night?
You know, Melissa, what kept me awake 20 years ago is not what keeping me awake today. What kept me awake that time, I told you, is those children. We're feeling like hopeless. I can't do anything. Seeing those boys, seeing those women, I can't do anything. I feel like I really slept a little at night, especially during the time in Yemen. I slept a little. That's what kept me awake. How can I help these people? But today, if you ask me, what kept me awake? It's how can I give these refugees a tool to support themselves with the dignity. I explained to you about the house that I live in. Today, when we build shelter, I make sure we have at least 2 rooms where the mother and father have their own room and the children have their own room. Not just one room and this is your shelter. No. So what kept me awake today is to make sure we get out of this dependency, because I believe these people they have a brain, they are very smart, they have arms, they can do things for themselves. How can we give them a tool to work, to farm, to go there to get their sweet potato in their garden and come eat, not waiting for rice to be given rice or to be given beans or to be given, what can they make that beans a lot? What can we do to give them this means to help themselves? For me, if I was not given that chance to go to school, if I was not given that chance to know that you are a refugee but you have a brain, to know that you can help yourself and help others. That's what I want for the refugee today to have. Yeah.
I wonder, I know that, you mentioned thinking about the welfare of your little boy. You are in duty stations where they often can't be living with you. So how do you manage being a mother and a wife and keeping the family intact?
When I met my husband, he was in Western Sahara. He's from Barcelona. And the first thing I told him, if you want to be together, we get married, I will never leave my job. If children come, we have to agree from now that we get married, we have children, and one of us have to take care of the children. And it's not me, because I'm not going to leave my job. And I was lucky, it's not everybody who are lucky. I'm very lucky. Juan Jose is a very good person. He told me, I will leave my job, I will take care of my children. So with his support, I'm able to do what I do. This is the choice I made. If there is an opportunity to be in the family duty station together, Alhamdulillah, we are okay. We can. But if there's there's no opportunity, and I have to go to South Sudan to help refugees, that also they are my family. So I don't think a lot. Oh, I need to be with my children. No, when I leave, I think where I'm going. But of course, my children, I call them. We talk every day. But I'm not saying that I don't say that I have to stop working because I want to go to be with them, because they are happy. When I'm happy, they are happy. I'm very sure. I will tell you, when I went to Yemen, by the way, I left Joel, he was 4 months. I left him at the airport. I stopped breastfeeding him at the airport. I handed a baby to Juanjo, and I went to Yemen. And I didn't see them again until 6 months. But in the plane, Melissa, believe it or not, I didn't cry at all. Because I already said, I put in my head, this is what I'm going to do. Joel is in the good hand with the Father. Let me go help those ones who are in need. So that's how I have been managing, and also having a husband who supports me very much, and I'm able to do what I do.
That sounds like a wonderful husband. And when you think about your 2 boys, and you think about all the refugee children you met, are you hopeful?
100%. And then when I took my children to Western Sahara, they spent 1 week in the camp. The reason I did that, Joel always was asking me, Mama, why you help other children and you leave us? We are not your children. And I try to explain. And I say, maybe when they go there, they will see what I do, then maybe they understand. So I took Joel. Believe me, since he spent 1 week in the tent, in the camp, he went back and he was giving me clothes. Mama, take these clothes to the children. So he understood. So up to now, he's 16 years old, he understands. And the one who is 9 years old also, he understands. So they accommodate me, they understand what I do, and they are supporting too.
Juliette, thank you so much for sharing your amazing life journey with me.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Awake at Night. We'll be back soon with more incredible and inspiring stories from people working against huge challenges to make this world a better and safer place. To find out more about the series and the extraordinary people featured, do visit un.org/awake-at-night. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and please take the time to review us. It helps more people to find the show. Thanks to my editor, Bethany Bell, to Adam Paler, Josie LeBlond, and my colleagues at the UN, Caterina Katidi, Roberta Politi, Geneva Damianti, Tulin Batiki, Becerra Kostova, Angelica Devis, and Carlos Macias. The original music for this podcast was written and performed by Nadine Shaw and produced by Ben Hillier. Additional music was by Pascal Wise.